All right. Happy Monday.
Hello.
Hello. Let's just cut right to it. Everybody already knows who you are. You said you had some issues
I
that you
got some
had to bring.
issues. I got a
Let's.
couple things.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
first, hey, welcome to Tech Commute. It is October 20th. It is Monday. I am really stoked to have you here. This is like kind of our first stream together. Uh,
I'm happy to be here.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, and then
Uh,
just start laying
Fine.
into me. Let's
Yes.
go.
I will not lay into you. However, a couple things. One, that sticker of me that you posted on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Um, it's awesome because I'm a huge Calvin and Hobbes fan. Like huge. Read them all the time, and it looks
Love
like a
that.
Calvin and Hobbes
It really
illustration.
does.
But I'm kicking a JavaScript symbol, and I just want to know why. Why am I doing somebody? Who was
Braden.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Braden.
he was
Braden
like,
brought it
"Why is
up.
Will kicking
Yeah.
JavaScript to the curb?"
He was very upset
And I
about
want
that.
to know why. Like, what were? I know there's a reason you like. We're like, how am I gonna make it
Uh,
this?
so I don't remember what the prompt was, but
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wouldn't let you it because of like the way AI prompts work. It wouldn't let you pee on it like the Calvin and the Hobbes stickers on like an F
Oh
one
yeah, yeah.
fifty
Because it was
truck.
okay, okay, yeah, yeah. It was like, how dare you
Yeah,
even try to do something like that? That is
yeah.
against our what are the moderation
The
policies or whatever.
guidelines. Yeah. Also, it was this. Because
Oh, true, 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 true.
we were more so I was like, all right, well, let's make this like somebody that works in the Laravel ecosystem, and
Yeah,
that it went with
yeah,
that, so
yeah.
that's why.
Well, I don't dislike. Unlike a lot of people in the Laravel
Yeah,
ecosystem, I actually like JavaScript, but I do love it. I still love the illustration, and I love. I'm gonna take it, and I'm going to like post it
I
on
thought I
X
sent it
because
to you.
people are gonna get angry.
I'll send it to your I just
Please do.
texted it to you, so oh, well, what else? You said you had a couple things. Is that
Okay.
really it?
Other thing, it's not like I'm gonna yell at you about these. It's just like
Do it.
the hat you're wearing, Ryman Auditorium,
Yeah,
fantastic
it
concert
really is.
venue.
It really
So,
is.
are you? Do you know Nickel Creek by any
I
chance,
I am
or
familiar. I don't listen to
Chris
their music.
Steele?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so they're like a bluegrass band,
Mm-hmm.
and I went and saw them at the Ryman,
Ooh.
um, and it was like the greatest concert. So I'm a huge fan of the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville. So like I saw that and I was like, oh, I got to talk about that.
Wow. You're quick, man, because you were like it sounded like you just had some beef with me.
No,
That you were
I've got no
just
beef with you.
yeah, that's great.
Zero beef.
I
I love
appreciate
you.
that.
You're great.
Ah, love you too, dude.
Also, Chase, here's my benchy.
Let's
Chase is
go.
asking in chat. I
Yeah.
just finally opened my 3D printer this weekend and got it
Yeah.
fully set up tonight, like this morning,
Yeah.
and made my first print. And currently, it is in the process of making my second print. But it
Yeah.
is awesome.
Chase also said, which you failed to point out, cut me some slack. I'm from the 1900s,
Oh, me
which is
too.
true. We both are. Look at that. Um,
That's
yeah,
so
the
funny.
Ryman was cool. We went on like the tour. They do that like virtual tour thing in the
Hmm.
room, and we went through the whole. So we were down there for a couple days. I took my wife down there for her birthday, and she had a blast. But
Yeah.
Will, who are you? For anybody that
Who
doesn't
who am
know who
I?
Will King is, why don't you introduce yourself? Now that we
Oh,
we kind of bantered a little bit.
that's a great question. I
Yeah.
am. I like to think of myself as I'm hard to define. Um, Not because I'm like a special unicorn. It's just like I don't know if I like care to define myself by a lot of these terms.
Okay.
But from like a career perspective, I'm like a design engineer,
Mm-hmm.
which means I like do front end. I do design. I sometimes do back end as well. But the way I like to describe it is that I am just somebody who enjoys building products, and I will learn whatever tool that I need to actually build it. And this is like across any medium. So like
Mm.
professionally, I do that with like software because that's the way I make money, and it's a lot easier to make money that way. But I also just like, as you can see, I've got a 3D printer. I do like woodworking stuff. Like I just love the process of creation of anything. You know,
You just like to build.
I just like to make things.
You
I just love to build
just like
things.
to make things.
Yes,
I love
yes.
that. So let's, for anybody that's familiar with the Tech Commute format, we usually kind of just deep dive the whole journey from there to here and talk about some of the nuance in between. But I don't know much
Hmm.
about Will King prior to tech, so I would love to know.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, yeah.
I would love to know kind of the whole journey. Like, let's
Dude,
talk a
I'd be
little
happy to
bit
tell you.
about. Yeah, let's do it. Where do you want to start? Like first grade? You remember first grade real well?
First, I don't I remember one thing from first grade, which is that in first grade I lied
Oh,
at school about something, and I
okay.
got in so much trouble when I got home.
Oh boy.
And that was like my vivid memory from first grade was
What'd you
that
lie
I don't
about?
even know what
You
I don't know.
remember? You don't remember?
I couldn't tell you what I lied about. I just remember for some reason at school it was like one of those like classic cases of like, oh, I think I'm going to be in trouble,
Yeah.
so I'm going to lie about it. And then like it was like as a kid you think you're so clever, like as a
Yeah.
kid you're like, man, I'm totally pulling the wool over their eyes. Now as a parent of small children, I see that in them. Like I see, oh,
Mm,
they think they're being clever right now. I'm
yeah.
gonna let this one, like, you pick and choose what you let slide. And I'm like, every time I bet I thought I got away with something, my parents were probably just like, not worth the trouble. We're just gonna let this one slide.
They
But
just
yeah,
let it go.
yeah,
Except for
yeah,
this one. Except for this one. You said you got in a lot of trouble,
yeah. No,
right?
because it happened at school. I did it. They never let lying go. Lying is not something the Kings are allowed to do ever. So
Well,
that
I
one I
mean,
got roasted.
overall, nobody should be allowed. Like,
One
I
hundred
feel like,
percent.
and you reflect on that, like how that sort of shaped your upbringing, that was something that was pretty serious, and now
Oh
that
yeah,
shapes how you parent, right?
a million percent trust. It was like, and it wasn't like a they. It was just like a trust thing. Like they're like,
Hmm.
if you lie to me, I can no longer trust what you
Mm,
say, and trust is the most important thing that we can have
yeah.
between each other. And like as a parent now, that's like, yeah, like if you can instill that at an early age, when it's these lies that don't matter, like the things that they tell that are lies are not that important. They're like little tiny kid things.
Yeah.
But if that becomes like the norm, something that they don't like expect to be like get in trouble for or have consequences for, then like teenage kids, the lies get bigger and more dangerous.
Sure. No, I hear you. The moral of the tech commute is do not lie.
Yeah.
To quote Stranger Things, friends don't lie. So, and
No,
we're
they
we're
don't.
all friends here at the tech commute. So that was first grade.
First grade.
Let's go.
Fast forward a little bit.
Yeah, fast forward a little bit.
Okay, so
What were
second
you?
grade. No.
Yeah, second grade. What was for lunch? That first quarter of second grade. Talk to us a little bit how you were sort of introduced to tech. Was that something that you took classes? Because I mean, when I was in school,
Hmm.
tech really wasn't like a thing as far as like computers from the computer standpoint.
Right,
Like we
right.
ended up getting a computer room and kind of going through the classes, but like where was your first real introduction to like computer science or coding?
So so I went to college at Auburn University
Mm,
in Alabama, and Auburn has an industrial design program. So it's not super tech related. You can have like technical
mhm.
projects, but it's more of like physical products, like shoes, chairs, washers, dryers, like anything that has to be like actually manufactured has an industrial designer that like designs the product itself. So I got into design. Like I was super into like physical product design.
Okay.
Um, and my junior year, you start thinking about like, okay, I'm going to graduate. I need to get a job. That means I need to have like a portfolio of my design work. And everyone else was using like some like Behance or like some portfolio site where it's like you upload your pictures and it's on there. Like you don't have any say on like the
Sure.
format. It's just like pictures, and like I would just be like everybody else. And I wanted to be like I wanted to stand out. I wanted like my portfolio to be interesting. So at the time, I went and purchased a Bootstrap theme uh,
Hmm.
for like $8, and it was like just an HTML and a CSS single page file. Um, and I remember opening that like .html file to try and just like change the text to say like my name and like upload my photos and stuff, and just like saying HTML and just being like, what is happening? Like, what is all this? Like
Yeah.
I had no clue at all. So that was like my very first introduction to like any kind of like code or like the actual software side of the industry was like that
Interesting.
bootstrap template.
So it was quite a bit later on then. So what was your like coming out of high school and stuff? What were you sort of planning as your future?
I was going to be an industrial designer. So
Okay.
like I went to school for industrial design. I was going to like work at like Frog or IDEO in
Hmm.
like San Francisco and just do like legit manufacturing of real product design
Yeah.
for like my whole career. Like that's what I was going to do. I knew it like in high school and like purposefully like looked at no other schools, only submitted an application to Auburn
Okay.
because that's what I was doing.
So we ended up at Auburn there. Then how did this like cryptic HTML file make you say, "Oh, I want to just change my whole future because
Okay,
of this
so
confusing
it
code?"
it didn't. So that file did not. That file scared me away from tech.
Okay.
Honestly, like
Okay.
from coding, like I didn't
Yeah.
really do too much of it after that. Other than just like it's just like the same thing where it's like I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't like this kind of like I don't know what's going on here, but I do know I want full control over how my portfolio is created. Like I want what people see. I want full control over that. Yes, it is like this is our playroom, by the way, Roxy. Over here's like this closet and all the kids, and you can see the train table
Oh
right here
yeah.
behind me.
That's a nice
So
train table.
yeah, the kids love to use all those pillows to build forts and
I
stuff.
like to actually I'm pretending that you are using a green screen and that is just a
That is just
image.
like a
Yeah,
random. Yeah,
you
nope,
picked that.
legit background right here. Yes, no, this is my office. But yeah, so like I want full control over it, and I
Hmm.
didn't have that control using some like other portfolio site.
Sure.
So, but I still loved industrial design. Like it was very interesting as I like figured out more of it. But I was just like, I don't know what's going on here. I went to school for industrial design. Um, enter like 1 month before I graduate from college,
Hmm.
and I meet Allie King, or at the time Allie Ingram, and
Okay.
like fall head over heels, and was like, I'm marrying this woman. I already know it. And Allie was like, I'm a kindergarten teacher, and I want to teach in like Montgomery, where my family's from. And I was like, that sounds good to me. I don't care. You know, like I'll follow you wherever you go. So at that was the point. Like that was it,
Okay.
where I was like, okay, are there any cool industrial design jobs in Alabama, in Montgomery, Alabama? The answer is like absolutely not. You know, like all the cool jobs are in like Toronto, New York, San
Sure.
Francisco. And like that's where like the good jobs are. And I was like, that's never gonna happen now. Like that path is now cut off. I need to figure something else out. Um, and that is when I was like thinking back to like, hey, like the design, like when I designed my website, that was fun. Maybe I can
Hmm.
get into web design. So um, through like a job fair, like I had done a project in designing somebody's app in college. Like I
Okay.
designed like a two apps. Like I designed a game and I designed like a course, like a book, like a university book selling platform
Okay.
for somebody in college. And I had that in my portfolio that I showed to somebody, and they were like they saw that and we built a relationship, and that's how we like I did like my first web design projects,
Okay.
but I didn't do like the development for it. I just did design. So like that's how I kind of got into this remote type stuff, was like starting to take on web design projects.
Interesting. So that
Yep.
was, I mean, again, pretty late. What was the process for you for like then learning how to code and figure all this
Okay.
stuff out?
So this is going to be just a recurring thing. I started designing stuff and I started
Hmm.
like sending it off to people and like with like other developers, and none of them got it right. None of them got the detail. Like they had the details wrong. Like it looked kind of good, but everything that mattered was wrong. Kind of, and so it was just like I need to make this the way it's supposed to be. Like once again, like I need to have full control over like how this gets created, and like maybe I need to have some therapy on like having full control
Yeah,
over this.
we'll dip our toe in that in a minute.
But yeah, so it's just like, well, I guess I'll just learn how to do it myself, so it's done right. And I used a platform called Skill Crush at the time.
Hmm.
It was like actually like a for women first coding platform, which is like why I didn't use them for the longest time.
Hmm.
But I just remember being like, there's the design of their website's so good. Their
Okay.
courses look better than any of the other things that I've seen. And so like at the bottom, I just remember one time scrolling through one of the landing pages, and at the bottom it was like, yes, yes, we're focused on women, but like if you're a dude, we still want you to. Like it was like this like last line was like, if you're a dude,
Sure.
it's fine, you can come in
Yeah.
too. So like I did the course. That's how I like learned HTML and CSS was through that platform. And then this was like my first opportunity to hop from, at the time I was working in Birmingham, Alabama at this
Hmm.
like doing 3D modeling at this bucket truck company or whatever. Um, and I finished up and I saw that they were posting a job role for like an assistant web design teacher.
Okay.
And I was
Okay.
like, well, I know like that I can do. Like I can do that. So I was like, well, let me like I could do this and then I could do freelancing. And if I mix both of those, that's how I can get into remote work and be able to move wherever Allie. Like by this point, me and Allie were like engaged. And I was like, I need to like not have to make her move to Birmingham because this is where my
Yeah.
job is because we want to be in Montgomery. So I was like, trying to get a remote job. And I went for the interview and I hopped on the call and they were like, hey, Will, good, nice to meet you. And I was like, yeah, I really enjoyed the course that I took. And they're like, wait, you took one of our courses? I was like, yeah, I took like the coding course. They're like, wait, are you that Will King? I'm like, what do you mean? I was like, I don't know, like who? What do you mean that Will King? So I like took like an intro HTML and CSS course,
Yeah.
but I'm like a college educated designer, I guess, at the time, which is like nothing special now looking back, but back then is like everyone's just learning HTML and CSS because they wanted to be a coder, not because they were a designer who wants to be a coder. So
Hmm.
like I like overdid every single project to be like really well designed. Like I was just like, well, this is what I don't know what I'm doing with the HTML stuff, but
Yeah.
like I do know how to design. So like I like made them all really nice. And they're like, yeah, you're overqualified for this like assistant position. Like, do you want to just be our web design teacher? And I was like, sure, sounds great. So like
Okay.
got in the door there. That was like a part-time job. I did a bunch of freelancing at the time, and I did that for about 6 months. And then Skill Crush hired me on as like a front end developer because they were like, "You took the HTML course. Like, do you want to do coding too?" And I was like, "Yes." So
Yeah.
I got a full time job eventually working remote at that company on like the software team, and that was like kind of how I got my foot in the door there.
Because you crushed it. That's what Roxy said.
It's so funny. Like I look back at those designs now, and I'm just like, no, I didn't. I absolutely didn't crush it. But it's like nobody else was trying that hard, and that's why I crushed it. Was because like
Wow.
I
Yeah.
try, I like tried harder than anyone, not on purpose. Like I didn't know how what everybody else was doing, but like
Yeah.
that's why I stood out was because I was different than everyone else who was trying to do the same course.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, as Aaron Francis says, be known for something, right?
Yeah,
You
that's
you
true.
were you were the that Will King.
I was that Will King, which is like the most ridiculous thing ever.
It's I
Now
mean
I'm that
that's
Will King for completely different reasons, like leaving cabinet doors open. So.
oh, the infamous cabinet door. Um,
Uh,
so you kind of touched on it as far as like really needing to have control over the
mhm.
design or the look or stuff.
Right,
So
right.
now transitioning from doing freelance and stuff and working on a team, how did you find that transition to like having to work with others in an environment where maybe you can't have that?
It was better because I started working with people who are like actually like very talented at their
Okay.
role. Like if you think about me at the time, like I was coming out of college and I was working for people from around Alabama
Hmm.
who they had hired me as the designer and they had just found some other developer in Alabama as well who could put a WordPress site together.
Right.
So like the barrier to excellence that person hiring me had was not that high. Like it's just a marketing site. But like I've always had just like an extremely high bar on like the quality of stuff that I want to be making.
Why is
Um
that? Where did that all kind of culminate from?
I don't know. Like I think it's just the way I was raised. Like growing up, it was just like if you're gonna do something, do it right.
Hmm.
And like if you're going to put effort into something and put your stamp on it, like your name, to say that like this is something you did, you basically need to have like it either needs to be like extremely excellent or it needs to be something where you're like, hey, I'm just we're just trying to figure this out together. Like those are like the two paths where it's like, hey, I did this thing, or I'm doing this thing for somebody else. Like somebody's paying me to do this thing, so I'm going to do the absolute best job that I can do at it. Or it's like something else where it's like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but like I'm going to be upfront that I don't know what I'm doing, or we're going to figure this out together. And I'm still going to try like my absolute best, even if at the time my best is like still not good because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just like, it's just the way I was raised. Like you always do your best every time,
Sure.
no matter what. Even if you don't do a good job, as long as you tried the hardest that you could, like pat yourself on the back, do better next time.
How has that mindset sort of affected your work ethic? Because I think there can be a plus
Oh,
side and a minus
not,
side to that.
oh, let me tell you, there is a minus side to it for sure. So, yeah, my wife is in fact a kindergarten teacher, Roxy,
Yeah.
which is like hilarious because like, um, she's just like the perfect example of like how to raise kids the right way. And so it's like observing how she parents, I see like, I don't know, like it just makes me realize like things like you're kind of talking about here, where it's like, hey, there's a plus and minus to like
Yeah.
that approach. Um, and the plus is that like I generally speaking do really well career wise.
Hmm.
Um, but I also have a really hard time like not being someone who does really well, and it affects like my family and like myself at home a lot. So recently, a really good example of this is like usually what I want to do when I start a new job role is like my job, like I go like super focus, super hyper focus mode,
Hmm.
and like I completely understand the whole system, and I try to ship a number of things much faster than they would expect a new hire to do, because like that's like my way of putting a stamp on it. It's like I was worth what you invested in me and like the
Hmm.
chance that you're giving me and trust. So like hiring is like a huge practice of trust. Like it's not a matter of like, yes, there needs to be like before it's like, yes, we need to know that you can do the job, but they don't really know. So a lot of
Sure.
it's just like trust and like taking you at your word and taking you at like face value. But when you're hired, that's when like that dynamic switches to where it's like, okay, I can't just say words anymore. Like I now have to prove
Yeah.
and back up everything that I told them. So like that's like what I would try to do is like I would just hyper focus for like 2 months and try to like knock it out of the park, which is like totally fine because like usually when it's like this is planned, we know how to plan our life around it. But this last summer, my company got acquired, which is like super exciting in one
Yeah.
hand. But it's like I got thrown into this company, and I wanted to like it's the same thing. It's like getting hired, and I'm at this new company with like new people, new management, a new code base, all this stuff. And I did the same thing that I always do, which is just like super hyper focus on it in the middle of our summer with 3 children, and my wife is off of work wanting to get some amount of rest herself.
Sure.
Um, and that was not like those two, that was like oil and water over the summer, like I was like, no, I need to do like, I needed to like, I'm so stressed. Like I want to get this done and I want to do this right. And I want to do this and this and make sure I'm doing this. And so it was like, became a lot of like the me every, like, a lot of grace was given to me this summer. And it was like, Allie needed some of that. So like, that's like the downside was just like,
Sure.
sometimes I don't know how to temper it. And I have to work on like selfishness in those cases. Cause it's like, it
Yeah.
sounds like a good thing. It's like, yeah, I want to be good. Like I want to work somewhere and I want them to think I'm good because that's like the way our family makes money. So like, that's a good thing, right? Like if
Yeah.
I'm doing well, then we're all doing well, but it's not like always like, that's an easy way to justify not being a good spouse. And
Yeah,
that's not a
but
good way
at
to
what
be just in
cost?
general. Yeah,
But at what
exactly.
cost, you know? It's definitely hard because I think we put, especially for men, I think we put a lot of like unsolicited pressure on ourselves
Oh,
to do some of
completely.
these things.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Allie was like, now, did your boss tell you that you had to finish that by this Friday? Or were you just wanting to do that so they thought you were like good at your job? It's like, you don't know me, Allie. Like, uh, it was definitely not my boss.
Yeah. How important has it been for you to have a spouse that kind of seems to be able to be a soundboard and a voice of reason? I'm sure you don't always think that, and based on your guys' social media interactions, it doesn't always indicate that. But I think we all
Oh
know
man,
behind the
yeah.
scenes.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to answer Roxy's question real
Yeah,
quick,
yeah.
the answer is like, um, yes and no. Um, I do burn out quite a bit, but not from like a like my day job perspective. I don't know what it is about it, but like I'm always able to like show up and do my job.
Mm,
Um, However, what does happen is that like anything extra, like literally any ounce of effort that would be required of me outside of my job, just get like that motivation just goes completely away. And it used to be that like I've learned that I just cycle like this. Even if I don't do a lot, there are
mhm.
just times out of the year where I'm just like I don't have zero motivation to do
Yeah.
anything other than show up, clock in, clock out. Um,
Well, here,
and so like
back to that. How do you time box that? Because obviously your family is a priority to you. Like we've talked about this in the
correct.
past. So
Yep.
how do you manage that?
So the way that I kind of think about it is it's just like there are periods of time where I just like push super hard on a lot of stuff, and it's usually by like choosing things that require deadlines.
Hmm.
And then up until recently, like most of my jobs have been to where like I'm allowed to like move at a pace to where I can get ahead on the work that is expected of me from my day job. And it's not like a oh I got ahead and now there's more stuff to be doing. It's like no, like I got ahead of like what we need done and there's nothing else to be doing. And so like that's kind of like the way I would balance it was just like I would do everything that I could do, and then
Hmm.
I would still have time during my day to like focus and do other things and other projects. And I would squeeze like I think that's probably a lot of reason why I like burnout as well, because like I
Yeah.
squeeze everything into from 7 o'clock to 3 o'clock every day, because once that hits 3 o'clock, I'm out the door to go pick up one of my kids, and then like I'm off the rest of the evening. And then if we get close to deadlines and things are like open on said side projects or conference talks or whatever, then like yes, once Allie goes to bed, I'll stay up a little later
Hmm.
and finish some stuff. But I try not to do that too often. But yeah, they're like the way that I burn out is that it's just like okay, stop doing anything extra. And I used to try and like push through it,
Yeah.
but what I realize is that if you're starting to feel that burnout or that lack of motivation, if you just shut everything down, like literally just shut it all down and like give yourself grace to relax and not do everything everywhere all at once, like if you give yourself that grace to just like relax, you'll be surprised how quickly like that spark inside of you, especially like if you're a creative person,
Yeah.
like that creative spark just wants to exist. So if you just give it, it's kind of like oxygen and fire. Like if you just give it some oxygen, some space to breathe, it'll spark up like so quickly. And like all that other work that you're putting on is like suffocating that fire.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, Josh comes in. Good to see Josh Siri here.
Just think
You know,
literally seconds a day.
it's interesting though that he brought that up because obviously this is something that is said in jest, but I think it does sort of reflect on how hyper focused we can be about other things. Like
Oh,
maybe
especially
the
working at home.
yeah, maybe the cupboards is kind of a warning sign of you being close to that edge.
I wish.
You know?
Unfortunately, not. That is like,
No, it's
if
not.
that was the case, I would always be on edge. No, like that's to me. Like, the reason why that happens is that like when I'm at home by myself working. So when I take a lunch break or a snack break or like go fill up my water or do whatever that requires opening cupboards, like I'm not actually taking a break from work. My body is just moving around the house while my brain is still working. And so what happens is I go and get said things while thinking of the solution, like chewing on the problems, thinking through solutions for what I was working on. And so like I'm just not there. My
Yeah.
body's there, my brain is not. And
Oh
so
yeah.
like things just get left out and left open because I'm still
Totally.
up at my desk.
I
Um,
I
so
told dude, I've been leaving cupboards open recently. And I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm turning into Will. I'm turning
it,
into Will."
you're
But
welcome.
but you're right
It's
though.
because
It's
y'all are doing so much at Torque. Y'all are crushing it, but
yeah,
there's just so much going on. I bet.
there's always stuff going on. It's like you walk away from your desk for 15 seconds to just like go get something. Like I did it the other day. I was like, oh my God, I see. But to your point, it's like when you're in the zone, none of
Mm-hmm.
those things are relevant. You know, it's
Yeah.
like you're still working even though you're away from the desk. How do
Yep.
you mentioned it, you mentioned the term grace. How do you show yourself grace?
Well, okay. Part of that comes from trying to answer a question that you asked a little bit ago, which is like, how is like Allie, my partner, like helpful and
Hmm.
beneficial? And
Yeah.
like the answer is like extremely so, because like Allie doesn't work in tech. Allie does not like live in the zeitgeist. She doesn't like live on
Yeah.
Twitter. There's not this, like it is so easy to get in this trap of trying to keep up with everything going on.
Yeah.
And that is like very much like what I am in the middle of all the time. And
Hmm.
a lot of that is like by choice because like one, I like really enjoy it. I just enjoy the community. I enjoy like
Yeah.
the type of work. I enjoy like the being able to interact with others and like all like Roxy, Josh, like all these awesome people that we have just like hanging out on Twitter. Like I love being a part of that.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like very easy to like lose sight of like what regular life is and like how important how not important some of that stuff is.
Yeah.
Like it is okay, like Aaron's been talking about recently, like surprise, like you can just give it a break for a couple days and like you didn't miss anything, you're good,
Yeah.
you know. And it's like hard to realize that, so it helps having somebody who's like a kindergarten teacher from Alabama who doesn't care about tech at all, who is like a really good reality check on like, why are you worried about this, why are you worried about that, like why is that something that matters, because like sometimes it does, like there are times where it's like, okay, well this is why this matters. And like I always want to provide everything I can for my family, like that's why I do this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like if I can pair providing more for my family and like this creative stuff that I love together, then like that's when it matters. But there are times where it's just like the juice is not worth whatever squeeze you're giving it right now. And like if you're doing all this for your family, like what you're doing right now is not worth it. And like
Hmm.
she's a good reality check on a lot of that.
Yeah,
So
that's definitely nice to have. My wife also is not in tech, and also usually gives zero shits about a
yeah,
lot of the
exactly,
tech drama,
exactly,
which is great.
exactly.
Um, how do you sort of satisfy that creative urge? I feel like you, as a person that does work in tech and sees all these things and experiences the
Hmm.
shiny object syndrome, like how do you how do you satisfy that craving?
I usually satisfy that craving through like learning something new. So recently, like I got into woodworking. I now have a 3D printer. Like I built like this cottage in my backyard.
Yeah.
And then like I built like a wood, like a full on like oak table that's like a heirloom style piece of furniture, like with hand wood joinery that I had to like learn how to do for like my mother-in-law. And I do all these
Dang.
things where it's like I'm never doing this again. Like I just recently built like this like video game on my website. If you go to wking.dev/soundfall, it's like this like little video game where like you can speak into your like microphone for your computer, and it like generates like a custom like game using your voice.
Was this similar to your Laracon talk?
Yes, yeah, yeah. It's an extension of that. So like I took that
Very
and
cool.
then like wrapped it up and shared it where other people could make their own. And it's
Very
like all
cool.
these things where it's just like I like I said, the medium is not that important. The reason why I dig so deep into software is because like it's also my career. But like if I made enough money doing other things, I would not do software alone all the time if I
Hmm.
didn't have to. Like it's not like I'm obsessed with like software. It's
Yeah.
just like another medium that's fun with a lot of fun people in the community. But like woodworking is
Yeah.
also the same. Like building stuff with like um like actual physical manual labor is just as creatively fulfilling. So like I just like to try to learn new techniques, new tools to just whatever pops into my head. if I can make
The
it a reality, like that's the itch that I scratch. It's not like, and I've never done things multiple times. Like anytime I start doing things again, like for instance, I started getting into the woodworking and I was like, ooh, I could make this a business. And I started making a bunch of mantles for people. Um, and like a bunch of people wanted the mantles, but after like the eighth mantle, I was like, I hate every bit of this. Like this is literally the worst thing I could possibly think of doing, because it's just like it's no longer a creative process. It's
mm,
an operational process. It's like how can I
interesting.
optimize A, B, and C so that I spend the least amount of time and have the most margin. And it's like as soon as it hits that phase, I'm just like checked out, and it is extremely like not motivating anymore.
Yeah, that's. I was going to kind of ask you like where you lose the momentum here, but it seems like again when you sort of turn these passions or hobbies into labor. So
Yeah.
how do you stick to software right now?
I think what's so fun about software is that like at least the way that I've tried to approach my career, up until recently, is that like I try to work for small startup companies
Hmm.
so that like every like one I get to wear a bunch of hats because there's not a lot of people. So it's like my job is to do a bunch of different things for my day job as part of that company. And then like also like every problem is like unique because the company's trying to figure out something new. um, I
Mm,
don't think I could go work for like a Facebook or a Google or something like that, to where it's like, hey, here is like the design system. Here are the like the Lego block. This is what was happening at the 3D modeling job that I had. I thought it'd be so cool. Like, cool, I get to like cherry picker bucket trucks that people like
yeah.
work on electric power lines or whatever. I get to model them and watch them get manufactured. That sounds so cool. But like the company already had every possible configuration already modeled at some point in the past, and it was
Yeah.
just like putting Legos together. And it was like
Mm.
I after 3 months I was like, I've got to get out of here. Like I'm just showing up, putting Legos together, and leaving. And like that's how I would think. I think design and development feels at like bigger. I would think at bigger companies, which I've tried to avoid, is just like you're just given a bunch of Legos and said, try to figure out the best configuration, but you don't have much freedom outside of that.
What what would you say? I mean, based on how you're kind of explaining what you look for in a role, you don't want to slow down. What is your fear of doing that?
Fear of slowing down.
Yeah, like going into a larger org where again you're just kind of playing with Lego pieces. Like you're not building and iterating at the rate
Mm-hmm.
that you are
Yeah, yeah,
now.
yeah. Well, I think it's just like I don't think I would enjoy the job. Like I think
Mm,
the slowing, it's not necessarily like slowing down per se, because like
yeah,
you're still expected to produce,
sure.
generally speaking, the same amount of work. It's just like you've now turned from somebody who like creatively solves problems
Mm,
to somebody who like pattern matches.
yeah,
Like you're not solving interesting problems, you're figuring out which pieces fit together,
yeah,
which is like less fun. And it's not like it is it is a great career and it pays well, and there are plenty of jobs that you can find that. And I could, if it was for my family, like I absolutely could. But if I have the freedom and the ability to go find those other types of opportunities, then that's what I'm going to do. And
sure.
like the way that I presented myself online and the projects that I work on and share has also helped push people who have those type of roles my direction as well. So it's just kind of
Yeah,
worked out to where those are just available.
sure. That makes sense. Do you find that you are doing more external projects and hobbies and tinkering when maybe there's a little bit of a lull at work?
It's really funny you should mention this. So I was talking recently about this because like things have changed in my professional life recently,
Hmm.
and like I'm definitely more towards the other camp than I am, like more towards the pattern matching than creative problem
Okay.
solving than I have been in past roles. And I like had a tough time with that. And there's a couple of communities, like a design community that I'm in, where I was kind of talking about this. And there's some people who are like, yeah, that happened to me, and I just like I had to quit. I didn't care how nice, like whatever benefits were going to be over a period of time. Like it wasn't worth it to me to like lose to them. What it was is like they felt like it was stealing their ability to like stay up to date. And like if I waited that long, say it was like 4 years, I waited 4 years
Mhm.
and then tried to look for a job I actually wanted, then like they felt like they would have lost their ability to get a new role because
Hmm.
they would have lost their motivation and like their ability to like I guess like stay like momentum, like stay in the
Yeah.
momentum that they had. I've kind of figured out on my own kind of the opposite, kind of what you basically like what your question was leading,
Yeah.
which was just like if I don't put it on my day job to be the way that I'm creatively fulfilled and I just point that expectation elsewhere, then like I can show up for my job, do what I'm supposed to do, and be able to like truly explore like my like even if like even the startup companies that I worked for, you know, like you still had constraints
Yeah.
um, that were not allowing full creative like exploration of like idea. Like you may have had three ideas and one you really cared about, but like they didn't end up wanting to do it, so you had to go with one of the other ones, that kind of
Hmm.
thing. But like if I find myself like enjoying the ability to like, well, let me just put my creative effort into like these other projects
Yeah.
because no one's gonna tell me no, and that may be a bad thing at some point. It may be a good thing, but like it's definitely going to be a fun thing, you know.
Sure.
We're
Where
definitely going to
where
see
could
some weird
you
stuff.
where could you see that potentially being bad? What's a
I mean,
con to that?
the con to that is that like there is truth to the passage in the Bible, like iron sharpens iron. So
Hmm.
like by only pursuing like my personal stuff alone, so to speak, like trying to be like that's what I'm trying to be careful of is like okay, well like being told no is not a bad thing, or like
Yeah.
having someone be like that's not a good idea is not a bad thing because it like sharpens your ability to explain like well this is why I think it's a good idea, or to be like oh like yeah you're actually right, like
Yeah.
maybe I should take like a different approach to it or try it a different way. And so like you lose some of that if you only ever do things by yourself. And just I think there's like a path that I'm going to try and walk where like there are people that I trust to give me feedback. And so it's like even if it's like my own personal stuff, like I'm still
Hmm.
gonna send it out. I still want to get feedback. I still want to like show
Yeah.
people and not show people as like a hey look what I completed. What do you think? But as like a hey I had this idea. What do you think? Kind of thing. To
Sure.
where like people along the way can maybe I can still kind of get some of that ability to like sharpen like my skill set because it's very difficult to improve when you're the only like it's all on you to like push yourself to improve. It's very hard to like realize like it's like that thing where it's like I could have spent 60 minutes doing something one way and like somebody who's done it 400 times could come in and be like you could have just done this, and like you miss that if you don't like work with others and work with people who are like better at certain things than you.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Isra mentioned here you spend so much time at work. If it's not challenging me or allowing me to be creative, I rarely have the energy to find it elsewhere. Um, as a fellow creative, a lot of what you were saying resonated with me after I left film and took a
Mm-hmm.
job that wasn't creative. And again, I was a cog and not creating the cogs.
Mm-hmm.
It killed me. It very much was like the worst feeling ever. I think when
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
that like that piece of you stifled, uh, it's awful. Um, so I
I think
definitely
we
can.
need to have a reverse tech commute because Roxy is just surprised that you worked in film, and I was
She's
also
not.
surprised the first time that
She's
you said,
not.
"Oh, is that like a sarcastic comment?" Like, wait, you worked in
Yes.
film? Okay, never mind
She
then.
she always does this to me. And the thing is I rarely mention it unless it's contextual. And I think right now specifically because it's a very creative industry that I
It is
left.
extremely,
Um,
extremely, yeah,
but as you also pointed out, like you do things for your family, but at what cost? Like
yeah. There's a
what
balance for sure.
there is a balance. How do you strike that?
I think I've just been very lucky, to be honest. Like I've intentionally from like once I like realized, hey, I need to work remote. I think I got I got the right career path
Mm.
very early on. Like before we got married, I had already gotten into remote work. Before we
Oh,
had
that's great.
kids, I was already working remote. Um, and like I also, so growing up, my dad was a software consultant,
Oh,
and he was like out of town a lot. Like
okay.
he would have to go out of town every Sunday. He'd come back every Thursday because he'd be flying out to some company to like help them get up to speed on whatever software the accounting company that he worked for had. Um, and so like that was like a huge influence when me and Allie, like when we were thinking about starting a family and stuff, I was like, I don't want to be out of town. I don't want to be not involved in my kids' lives. Like I don't want to be
Mm,
like absent and only there part of the time. So it's like from the jump, I
yeah.
knew like remote work's what I want to do. I don't want to travel a lot either. Like I would avoid like being gone a bunch too. And like last year was like I was gone way too much. Like I was like, hey, I want to start speaking at conferences. Let me just like I bet no one's gonna say yes, so let me send out a bunch. And then
And
too
then
many
all of
people
them
said
did.
then too many people said yes. So lessons learned there. We are adapting for next year. But yes, like I just knew from the jump, like I don't want to be
Yeah.
gone. I don't want my career to come at expense of like I always say this, which is like currently my kids are at a phase where like they want to spend time with me all the time. Like they
Yeah.
want to play with me. They want me to be in their lives. They want me be a part of things. And at some point, theoretically, from what I hear and have observed, that changes. You know, like they no longer want daddy to come
Yeah.
play. Like they're like, Dad, get out of my room. You know,
Yeah.
Dad, go.
I
Like
I can
you're not
attest.
funny,
I
Dad. You
can
know, so
attest.
at some point
Yeah.
I will continue to have more and more time for myself or for me and my wife. But for right now, it's like I'm gonna pour into the people who want me around right now, and then like lay foundation for like whatever future time I have available.
I love that. And I have two teenage daughters, so I can definitely attest to when
Our
they.
oldest is a daughter, and I'm not looking forward to
Yeah.
it.
Good
I'm
luck with
so
that,
scared.
buddy. You mentioned your dad traveled a lot, and that kind of shaped
Hmm.
how you now are doing your parenting, or how you kind of like frame how you're living your life with your family. Are there any other kind of lessons from your upbringing that have shaped some of the things you do in your life?
Yeah, so almost in like reverse of that, which is like still from my dad, but also like my
Hmm.
mom, just the way that they are. But like my dad would go out of town like Sunday to Thursday,
Hmm.
and then he would come back in town and like he wouldn't just like sit around. Like he would go like mow the yard. He would have to run a bunch of errands. He was an elder at like the church that we went to, so like he was also like going around and like going to
Hmm.
hospitals where like members of our church were sick. He'd go check on them, and he'd do like all like he was constantly busy like trying to like he was an extremely hard worker. Like the negative of that is like I felt like he missed some things, but the positive of that is like I learned the importance of like hard work, and my mom was the same way. Like my mom just was always baking something for somebody. She was always like writing a card for somebody, like bringing food to people. Like she was always doing something for somebody, cleaning the house, doing her laundry, like like it was always something.
Yeah.
And so like I learned a whole lot of that, like that hard work and like excellence comes from them because like they
Yeah.
never took a break, they never
Yeah.
stopped.
Can kind
You
of
know,
see that now based on how you explained your lifestyle.
yeah,
That
yeah,
that
yeah.
tracks. That tracks. Um,
Tried to find some balance away from that. Like I think my mom and is gonna run herself into the ground because she's like superwoman, but like there's a balance there to where like you still need to get like you mentioned like there's still grace to be given to yourself. Like you can
yeah.
slow down. You don't always have to be the best.
Do you see that as a portent potentially for your future?
Important.
Like foreshadowing?
A foreshadowing, like the needing to slow down because I can't keep up kind of thing.
Yeah, or that you're seeing that now your parents are potentially, or your mother's potentially leading herself to burnout in that sense.
Yeah.
Like you
Oh,
can't
she
keep
does. It's
going.
so funny. Well, what's so funny growing up, my mom, once a year, my mom would have like a multi-day migraine to where like
Hmm.
she would literally be unfunctional and she would not move at all for like three
Jeez.
days. And then like she'd just get right back to it. So it's like we always talked about it like she's like a robot and like her batteries just needed to like she just needed to like reset. Like
Yeah.
once a year she just had like a hard reset, turn it off, turn it back on again kind of thing.
Ugh, man, the lessons we learned from our parents For
It's
better or
true.
for
So many,
worse.
and I'm like, I cannot wait to figure out all the ways that I messed up, thinking I was getting it right. You know.
Ugh, that's crazy. What's one like hard non-negotiable you have as a parent for your kids?
The one hard non-negotiable is kindness.
Hmm.
Um, we always say like kings are kind is like our family motto kind of thing, where it's like no matter what, no matter how somebody treats you, no matter how people are treating other people, they can always rely on us to be somebody who is kind.
Hmm.
Because kindness is easy. It's not easy. It's not like kindness is not something that like you rely on other people for. You know,
Yeah.
like you have full control over how kind you are to somebody else. We can't control like we can't be successful. We don't have control over that. We don't have control over, like XYZ, but we always have control over how we treat other people and like how other people can expect to be treated by us.
Dang, I like that. Do you guys have Kings Are Kind on a shirt?
No,
Do
but we need like a sign going out into the garage where they slap it on the way out.
ooh, Ted Lasso style.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, this is an interesting segue, and I realize we only have like 9 minutes left. And I had so many other things. We're gonna have to do a part two. I
It's
think
okay. We can do a part two. I'd
we
love to
could
come back.
definitely do a part two.
As you know, I don't mind yapping.
No, you are a king at yapping as well. So look at that.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit because you did mention the conferences. What
Yeah.
was kind of the thought process going into that? Because not everybody needs to be a conference speaker. Some people
True.
don't
True.
choose
True.
to be conference speakers. So walk me through that.
So I have some articles that I've written on my website that I call like it's a terrible name, but I call it Guide to Effective Networking for Developers.
That is
Or
terrible,
the
but
Developer's Guide to Effective Networking, something like that. It's terrible. It's awful. But I was just like, I'm just gonna write these because I was thinking about them. But like the reality is that like networking is like finding a job as a developer or as a designer, like anybody in this industry is like it's not actually that hard.
yeah.
Let me say, like it is simple. That's the way to phrase it. It's not complicated to find a job,
Hmm.
but it is hard. It requires effort. It requires you putting in a bunch of work to do it. And like one of those methods that is like different is just like you have to get out and you have to talk to people. You have to meet
Hmm.
people. People have to know who you are. Now you could do that online where there's a million voices and there's like a million people vying for attention. But like a good hack for doing that is instead just trying to convince like one person that you're worth like giving a shot to speak at a conference. Like one conference can like put you on like the map for whoever's like there at that conference to
Yeah.
give you a chance to like speak to like your expertise in something. So like part of it is like a networking thing. It was like, hey, like I want to expand the number of people who know the type of work that I do so that like I have more opportunities professionally in the future. And I think speaking at conferences is a really good way of like solidifying that for myself. So that was part of it, is like
Okay.
always the professional path. The other part of it was we just got done having 3 kids. Um, and like I did not get out of like work from home and like
Yeah.
we've had 3 children like almost in a row and like I never got out of the house ever. And I just started getting to this point where it's like I had no friends. Like we just moved to this new house. My wife was like super like found her best friend. She lives across the cul-de-sac and they have so much fun. They've gone on trips together. And I'm just like, I don't have any friends. Like I legit have no friends. Is like the way I thought about it. And it's like, sure, I guess I technically still have some friends, but like I don't live by anyone that I went to college with. I don't live in
Sure.
my hometown. Um, and I was like, the people that I meet at all these things that my kids' events are at, like they don't like the same stuff that I do. So I was
Yeah.
like, where are the people? Where are my people? Is basically what I was like. Where are my people? And so I was like, I want to be more intentional about getting out there. So I did that for a
Yeah.
year just on Twitter, like being more intentional about like, hey, I know who you are. I like your stuff. Hi, I'm Will. Like just doing a bunch of like just actually saying hey to people and interacting with them. Um, and then the other piece of that was like I want to go to where they are in person, and that's where
Yeah.
conferences came in. And I was like, I would also like to have like a good excuse. Like I don't want to just like once again going back to like I don't want to be somebody who's gone.
Sure.
I don't want to just and this is part like I don't want to just go to things to be an attendee because that feels selfish. Part like because like
Yeah.
I don't really. This is not like me trying to be cocky or anything, but it's like there's not much that I need to go to a conference to learn about because like I
Yeah.
can just learn it on the internet. You know,
Sure.
like so I can't say, "Hey, I need to go to this because it will make me better at my
Yeah.
job." That's not really a good reason. Like I knew that internally.
Hmm.
So it's basically like, okay, it would basically say like, "Hey, I want to go to this conference, babe, because I just want to hang out with people."
Yeah.
And I could like that's not a bad thing, but I just couldn't do it. You know, like I
Sure.
just couldn't. So I was like, I'll just like submit to be a speaker at conferences, and then it's the perfect pairing. Like, hey, it's good for me career wise and for our family, and also I get to like scratch the thing
Yeah.
that I wanted, which was like I want to spend time in person with people, and that worked out last year too well. But I got to hang out with you in like React Miami and in Denver at Laracon,
I know,
which was
twice.
awesome. And so it's like next year I'm going to do the same thing. Just I'm going to cap it at 2 conferences,
Okay.
and I'm going to try to submit to a few different conferences and see 2 at a time if I get
Yeah.
accepted. And once I hit 2, I'm out. I'm done. But I'm looking forward to getting back and seeing people in person again.
Definitely. Man, you really struck a chord with me when you were just talking about that. Like, we were talking about it before we started too. My wife is on vacation right now. She
Mm-hmm.
went to visit her best friend who lives in Arizona. They're in Texas till
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I'm here. Like my office is here, so I'm working. Um, and I'm also doing the dad stuff. We had to run to school. That's why we started late today. But we were just kind of joking around about it. Like conferences are where we go for
Social.
fun,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
social.
Yeah.
And that's hard to frame for people that don't work in tech because I mean, it is work at the end of the day. It's exhausting, but this is literally the only time I get to socialize. It's bizarre, but how else are we supposed to do it?
Right. Like, I mean, somebody in the chat was like, "You're friends with your wife's friends' husbands," kind of thing.
That's not true. They're
And I'm
wieners.
like,
I don't like any of them.
right, exactly. It's like, yeah, like I can be acquaintances with him, but
Yeah.
it's like all of my the husbands around here are like, "Hey man, did you see the game on Saturday?" Or like, and they know all the players' names, all their statistics, or like, "Hey, I
Ugh.
just set up my new like hunting blind, like the deer, I got an 8 pointer kind of thing," and I'm like, literally could not be like less
You're like,
interested in
here's
any of
here's
this.
Benchy.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, like I'm just like trying to like anybody do it. Like woodworking is like usually like my one thing where it's like, okay, maybe
Yeah,
some dude from the like some other dude from the south does it, but
sure.
like even then, like it's still like a pretty high barrier to entry for people who like get into it
I
the
don't
same way
think
I do.
people
But
talk about friendships as adults enough. Like, how
let
do
me tell you,
you
Aaron
do
Francis
that?
is the king of it. He does. You should have him on if you haven't, and you should ask him about that because he has this really good thing, which is like the way you have friends is that like the friends, and this is like why I started going to conferences,
Hmm.
not because of him, but like this theory, which is just like you have to be the one who like initiates things.
It's true.
Like friends don't just show up. Like they're not just gonna ask you out to things. Like you have to be the one to do the asking, basically. Like he's like, I just said like every Thursday I'm gonna be at this place for breakfast. If you come, great, I'll be there. We'll hang out. Otherwise, I'm still gonna be there. And by saying like I will be here every Thursday for breakfast, he has this like group of guys where he lives that just show up and they all hang out and like it's a lot more like more friendship of a type of relationship. But like that's the way I like think about conferences. Like I don't want to do that with people around here. But that's
Yeah.
like the way I think about conferences, which is like, hey, we're all hanging out at the water cooler, aka Twitter, and then a few times a year we get to just like hang out and like super deepen that like relationship and like become like legit friends.
Yeah. I agree. The in person stuff just really helps drive those relationships, like makes them more cohesive and
Yeah,
real.
there's nothing better for a relationship than like a shared experience, whether good or
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes
No,
bad
that's
is
true.
better.
It's always a good story either way. So, man, that's crazy. it really makes me think too, because this is something that I've talked to Rachel, that's my wife's name, about a
Yeah.
lot. Is like I don't do shit. Like I don't like I'm here. I work from home. I'm here. I
Yeah.
run errands every now and again, like if we have to have
Yeah.
groceries picked up, but
Yeah.
it's like I don't go hang out.
No,
Um
absolutely not. No,
I think
definitely don't.
sometimes
Like
too
my
with
wife goes
like
out to dinners with like she has
I,
like like teachers at her
yeah,
job that like they all have kids in the school too that are
yeah.
like around her age, and they'll just like go out and get dinner, and I'm just like, I can't even imagine. Like,
What is that?
what? What is that? Like, how does that work? You know, you just like
uh,
people. I guess the difference is it just like depends on like what you're into because like there are plenty of guys around here who like have really good group like friend
man.
groups, but it's because they're all super into like being baseball coaches for their sons and talking about the game and hunting. Like they all have this commonality, and like my wife has all this commonality with the other teachers and people with like young kids, the other women with young kids. Like they all have like commonalities, but like the people who have the like, I just love this. Like, I think it's like I don't know what it is about it, but it's like a drug almost. Like it's like once you're
Yeah,
into the tech and the creative and like the being able to make stuff online, like that's all you think about or want to do for
yeah,
your personal enjoyment.
yeah,
Like it's completely different from like family relationship, spouse
yeah.
relationship, whatever. But like whenever I think what is fun, it's always like making something and
Yeah.
showing it off to all my online friends that I'm like I care about. You know?
I think for me too, it's like we're so busy, like working,
Mm-hmm.
that my fun is just hanging out with my family. I think that was the biggest thing, and I've
That's
talked
very true.
about this in the past too. It's like one of my biggest regrets is missing a lot of my two daughters' lives growing up when I was working in film because I was always gone. So, like, that regret for me, I think
Mm-hmm.
drives a lot lot of any
Yeah.
downtime I have.
Yep.
It's like I want to
100%.
spend with
Catch
them.
up. Yep.
Yeah.
100%. Yep.
So, dang.
I,
All right. Well, last question, Will, and then I'm going to let you go. And
all
thank
right.
you so much.
I
And we
gotta go pick
definitely
up. I gotta go pick up a 2-year-old.
see you exactly back to the family stuff. What does success look like to you?
Success looks like getting to spend as much time with my family, and also I heard that
Yeah. Speak of the devil.
spend time with my family, and also like spend time on these like creative endeavors with
Yeah.
like I always say like I want to build dope things with dope friends,
Yeah.
and also spend time with my family. Like that's it. You know, like
Yeah.
if I can be making enough money to do those few things, then I'm happy.
Yeah. No, I am the same way. Speaking of
Cool.
family, what's up, troll? Looks like he's about to bust into some. Oh, maybe some Star Wars Battlefront. Nice. We might have
There
to
we
take a
go.
little
Oh,
video
what a
game break.
classic. Yeah,
It's
I'm gonna
so
go pick
good.
up a small child.
Yeah, do it. It was great seeing you, Will. We definitely have to
Absolutely.
do a
We'll come
part
around for
two.
part two.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Would love to.
Do a part two so we can get the most
Yeah, we
subscribers
have to
on
do a part
YouTube.
two. All right. Well, thank you everybody in the chat, and remember, it's nice
Absolutely.
to be important. It's more important to be nice. We will see you guys later.
There we go. We love
You
that.
like that one? I thought
Yeah, I
you
do
would.
love that.
All right. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.
See ya.
Oh, see ya.